hard you play, practice, or
It doesn't get better or bigger than this. 33 games have been played. All that matters is this one. Win and get in for the Oakland Roots. Win or tie and get in for El Paso Locomotive. For tonight's broadcast brought to you by UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital and UCSF Health. Happy to have you with us tonight. MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin and Joe Malfa with you. Ricky, all comes down to this. Simply said, simply done. You need to win to get in for the Roots, win or tie, and you're in for El Paso.
And it's going to be very interesting because this Oakland Roots side, right, you want to manage moments. Who's going to be more clinical in both 18-yard boxes? Obviously, sell-out crowd here, hostile environment, Noel Delgado and the Oakland Roots. How do you feed off of that energy and test El Paso Locomotive early and often here? It's going to be really interesting to see that midfield battle because I think that's going to be the victor, whoever imposes their identity in center of the park.
And these two teams have a really good history when it comes to the postseason. A brief history, albeit. Oakland 2 for 2 in making the postseason. El Paso, in their history, they were 3 for 3 until last year. And don't forget, they want some revenge here. 2021, Oakland knocked them out of the postseason. They want some revenge from what happened earlier this year when Oakland took it to them at their place, a 3-1 win for the Roots.
And you look at the players that scored every single goal. Yes, it's an own goal from Emer Clemente to start things off, but Noel Delgado was very pleased about what the response was for the Oakland Roots. Whether it is Linda Mafeka, Johnny Rodriguez, Anwar Pelaez, all players that you need to ask a lot of questions of. They need to be massive here at home, but you just talk about the individual ability to get on the end of things. Johnny Rodriguez, he's really coming to his own. Anwar Pelaez, we won't see him on the start, but when he comes off the bench, he's going to be an impact player for the Oakland Roots and Noel Delgado.
And Johnny Rodriguez this year, as you mentioned, coming to his own, career high 12 goals. When they've been so much about the collective this year, Oakland, that's been the preaching, but big game, need a big player to step up. It's Johnny Rodriguez.
And he just has the ability to create on his own. We've seen him score goals from nothing, the ability to get on the end of things, the ability to create for himself, to beat you 1v1, to beat you through combination play. You want him on the ball early and often, but the question is, for Noel Delgado and the Oakland Roots, what does the service look like into him, and how clinical can he be on the night here tonight?
On the other side, it's Eric Calvillo, who draws the spotlight, sets the tempo in the midfield for El Paso.
And he's just going to pull the strings. His relationship between him and Rose is very good, moving the ball from left to right, understanding when to push the tempo and when to take the sting out of this hostile environment. He needs to be very confident for Brian Clarehout and El Paso Locomotive.
4 previous meetings in regular season and postseason between these two clubs, and it's been pretty one-sided. 3 wins for the Roots and 1 draw, but a draw is all El Paso needs to get in tonight. Oakland must win. It's judgment weekend. It's decision time. It's Oakland and El Paso next.
It doesn't matter how hard you play, practice, or compete, as long as you do it together. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Oakland Roots teamed up and took on food insecurity, empowered all athletes to improve physical health, and expanded health and wellness resources available to the residents of Oakland and the Bay Area. We're committed to continuing our work to improve the lives and health of our community, together. Visit oaklandroots.com/anthem to learn more.
There's satisfaction in sacrifice, in spilling blood, sweat, and tears, in knowing that you left it all on the floor and never threw in the towel. Well, except to clean up the mess. Giving it all for your team is worth every drop. Modelo, brewed for fans with a fighting spirit.
How can someone so cute be so complicated? Someone so grown up still have so much growing left to do. We know kids aren't many adults. Their still developing bodies and minds need specialized care, including physicians and care teams who focus on treating kids and only kids, which is why from everyday to emergencies, kids belong at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals.
Nane, en la entrada del área, Nane, no puede pegar al arco. Ya gana Mazzoso, dejando para Enfeca. ¡No se metió! ¡Balón adentro, golazo!
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross, UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals, and UCSF Health, and Modelo, all proud partners of the Oakland Roots. Time for the starting lineups, brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross. Anthem is transforming healthcare by improving the health of our local communities. This is the group for Noah Delgado. Win and get in.
And you're looking at Lidla Mafeka and Cedeno. What does that relationship look like for John Rodriguez? Because he's going to stay high, and he's going to occupy the back 3 for El Paso Locomotive. And you're looking at Donaciano and Gomez have to be very good at dictating tempo. Jai and Diaz providing the width if you're Noah Delgado the first 10 to 15 minutes, because this starting 11 for Brian Clarehout, very good. You're looking at Gomez. He might come underneath Sanupe, Calvillo, Rose, Herrera. They're the spine of this team. They're the engine of this team. How quickly can they get into rhythm? Because you have Petrovic and you have Lyons. They're going to provide the width and join the attack to create overloads as they see fit.
Two teams that don't really feel like they should be in these positions, but made the bed, now lie in it and try to find your way out of it. Dropped a lot of points down the stretch, both Oakland and El Paso. El Paso needs just a draw tonight. Oakland must win. Number 8, El Paso. Number 9, Oakland. Essentially a play-in game for next week's playoffs. It's Oakland in the black from right to left. It's El Paso in their light blue from left to right. Over 6,000 expected tonight for the Roots. Would be a club record. And they want to go home happy knowing they can watch their team fight at least another day next weekend. Referee Abdu Ndiaye. 33 matches have been played. Only the next 90 minutes matter to determine which of these two teams makes the postseason. Good to have you with us tonight. With Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. Murad is in on the back line tonight for Oakland. They're missing Nabil Hackshaw and Brian Tanakas to international duty right now in CONCACAF Nations League. Guys who have been staples on that back line. Comes at a bad moment for the club, but it's sort of what you have to live with the international schedule. When you have that type of international talent on your team, they might go at any moment.
When you talk about the versatility for Tariq Murad, we've seen him play central, we've seen him play in the back line, but my eyes go to that relationship between Gomez and Donaciano. Donaciano, a very dynamic midfield, can play both sides of the ball, and Gomez very comfortable on the ball. So as one goes, the other one needs to understand and do their defensive duties and stay right in front of that back four, because we see El Paso Locomotive, they're playing with a true number 10, Gomez, so he's gonna float between lines.
A couple of games ago at home against another Texas team here, Oakland scored twice in the first 10 minutes, that being San Antonio. And they conceded late in stoppage time in the second half, finishes a 2-2 draw. This Oakland team hasn't won since August 23rd. 4 straight losses against Louisville, Sacramento, Vegas, and Tulsa. Back-to-back draws against Monterey Bay and San Antonio. And back-to-back losses against Orange County and San Diego. Back when that run started, after they had beaten New Mexico, this is a team who you thought could be in position for a home playoff game, who could contend for second, for third, be in that conversation with San Antonio and Orange County. Instead, they are fighting for their lives, and the same could really be said of an El Paso team that in the last 5 games has a win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. Sent long by Diaz. Jesse Cedeno running at the end there, but Dollenmeyer clears it into the bushes.
And if you are Noel Delgado, you're asking for a massive match from Cedeno. Very good last time out. Noel Delgado is very confident and complimentary about him, so how quickly can he get on the ball, because he likes to play in those tight spaces. You're going to see him and Lyndon Mafeka combine a lot underneath Johnny Rodriguez.
For Eric McHugh, now Dollenmeyer blocked. Cedeno battling with Dollenmeyer. And it's another throw coming for Oakland. Dollenmeyer, a big mid-season acquisition, joined on loan August 24th from LAFC. Cedeno wins a corner for the Roots, powered by East Bay Community Energy, providing green power at low rates. Visit ebce.org to find out more. Cedeno or Diaz. In swinger if it's Cedeno, out swinger if it's Diaz. Center backs have been scoring lately for Oakland. Clemente got one against San Diego. Barbier on the score sheet as of late. Even Hackshaw, who's not with them tonight, scored a couple of matches ago. It's glanced on by Murad. Lindo Mafeka, the back post. And it's settled for Clemente. Tried to smash that one. Now Cedeno. End line. Jessiel Cedeno put it in front. Dangerous ball. Out for another corner. Great start from the Roots. Can they find a goal to go with it?
Really good start here from the home side on the front foot, putting a lot of pressure on the visitors, and it all comes with how comfortable you are for the Oakland Roots, just committing a lot of players and causing chaos in front of Manny Diaz and that back line.
It'll be Memo Diaz. Lindo Mafeka settles. Awkwardly laid it off for Donaciano. Headed back for McHugh. He has trouble with it. Babacar Jai. And a handball granted. Jai wants this. Look at the body language of Jai. He was arguing to get that ball. A little Mafeka had to move off of it. It's right on that fringe range, Ricky. It's far for a strike. It's also awkward if you want to get a cross in. Your best bet, maybe something off the training ground or playing it out wide and then getting a cross in.
I'll tell you what, we've seen Emer Clemente unleash it.
Well, there he goes.
Yep, not him anymore.
Maybe Diaz or Rodriguez, it seems. Memo Diaz looking backside, now across frame from Clemente. Jai puts it back across, overcooked. Barbier is offside. Early pressure, though, from the Roots against an El Paso team that, coming into this, are you trying to sit back and defend knowing you only need a tie? Is that maybe what does you in because you're inviting all the pressure from Oakland and then you have to flip the switch at the last moment? So tricky if you're Brian Clare how you try and deal with a night like this.
I think you don't play for a draw. You go off for all the 3 points. You approach this like any road game that you've had in your 33 games in the 2023 campaign, right? So how do you start? How do you take this thing out of this hostile environment? You need to get on the ball, and it starts with Calvillo, Herrera, and Rose, players that are just so comfortable. And also, you know the Oakland Roots, they're going to come quick and they're going to come high. So how do you bypass that initial pressure to the front line and just get the confidence in the side? Because 7 minutes in, shaky start for the visitors here.
Benny Diaz, former goalkeeper of the Roots, began last season here. And he's coming back home essentially. Diaz and Blanchette at opposite ends, the goalkeepers, can become Ironmen tonight. It slipped through. Opportunity for Sinupe, puts it through the legs of Blanchette. Flag stayed down. El Paso's on top.
Just mentioned against the run of play for this El Paso Locomotive side. You bypass that initial pressure and there's a ton of real estate. Hard to see there out of our screen, but Sinupe just gets off the shoulder of Emer Clemente and Tarek Murad as Paul Blanchette comes off his line. Cool as you would like. First touch out of his body, straight through the legs, off to the corner against the run of play. But what a fantastic start this is for El Paso Locomotive to silence all 6,000 plus in the building here.
Emmanuel Sinupe with his 3rd goal of the season puts El Paso up in a game that they could either win or draw to get through. Oakland's going to have to produce 2. Mafeka. Advantage played. Gomez for Diaz. Clemente. Jai. They were going to sit in before this, El Paso. Now with a 1-goal lead, they can double down on that. Barbier. Mafeka gets it around Navarro. Mafeka tries the back heel, and the free kick is coming here for Oakland in a good spot. Here's another look at the goal that was just scored by El Paso. We froze it for you here when the ball was played. You could see just off your screen the other defender, Tarek Murad. You can't see the striker, so just deduce it. It's almost like he's got to be off, but flag stayed down. El Paso, the beneficiaries, they're not going to complain about it. And they're up 1-0. Now can Oakland get it back here on the set piece? Obviously no VAR or look other than that one that we have for you. But the decision was the decision. Oakland has to get it back. This would be a heck of a way to respond quickly just a few minutes later. Diaz swerves it in. Header toward the far post. Came off of the defender. It was Calvillo tracking back to help, and another corner now for Oakland.
We've seen some quality service from this Oakland Roots side already. 11 minutes in, whether it is Cedeno or Memo Diaz, putting the ball into the mixer.
Another cross, another punch away by Diaz.
And it's funny, Joe, we talked about the game in Texas earlier this season. 2 of the goals from the Oakland Roots have come from just pumping the ball into a dangerous area.
Cedeno goes for goal. Diaz at his near post, out for another corner.
Memo Diaz gives you a different look from the right side. With the absence of Ryan Tamakas, he shifts over. On the back end of it, Cedeno, he has the license to roam in, essentially provide the width. Big time set from Benny Diaz.
Whipped in from Cedeno, and Diaz has it. Going to go quickly, but he'll slow it down now. You can become a part owner of Oakland Roots and Seoul SC now by heading to wefunder.com/Oakland. Fans 18 and up can join the ownership group for as little as $100 today.
Ready?
Paso never beat in Oakland. Includes a 2021 meeting in the first round of the playoffs. Oakland on the road to El Paso. Snap there. Like the unbeaten run on their home ground. And they score first this year, El Paso, 10-4-1. Pretty strong front runners. Barbier. Murad. You know this Oakland team will settle into the possession and control most of it, 73% right now. The name of the game is scoring goals. El Paso did it on a quick counter. Was he on, was he off? We'll never officially know. Here they go again, maybe. Sedupe scored that opening goal. Feeds Gomez. And Gomez, harassed by Donaciano, brought down. And a free kick coming for El Paso.
But very sloppy from Donaciano. Just trying to overcomplicate things in the center of the field. Gets his pocket picked, and you just saw on the opening goal how explosive this El Paso Locomotive side can be. First look is always forward, overzealous to recover from his mistake. And highlighted this man in the open, Calvillo. Much like Memo Diaz, has the ability to whip in a dangerous ball with a lot of pace and a lot of venom.
Some key pieces tonight. El Paso so far getting the job done. Swung in, top of the sixth, the header. How about that? 2 for El Paso on the road. It's the loney Noah Dolenmeyer. His first goal since joining the Locomotive, and they're up 2.
We've talked about set pieces, managing moments, and being clinical in both 18-yard boxes. Brilliant ball in. And you tell your big man, just go up and get it, Dolenmeyer. Petrovic, a lot of pace, a lot of venom. That's not X and O's, that's just a willingness to get on the end of it. Right off the shoulder, between Jai and front of Tarek Murad. Doesn't need to hit it too hard, just needs to help it on. Use the momentum to your favor. Nothing Paul Blanchett can do. Up to the corner once again. And El Paso silencing every single player and person in this building.
It helps when you're 6'6". Just find the tall guy. Dolenmeyer gets it done. An even steeper hill to climb now for Oakland. They must win. For El Paso, it's a winner draw to get through. And a yellow granted to Johnny Rodriguez. Memo Diaz shoving in now against McHugh. It was always going to be a tense night. When you factor in the 2 early goals, it ups the temperature even more.
And I always talk about managing moments, but also managing emotions. And this is a critical moment, right? You don't want to give your side any sort of disadvantage. We see the arms failing. Clear foul from Johnny Rodriguez. The left arm extended away from his body extremely high. And just catches Dolenmeyer straight into the face, no question about it.
He's lucky that's not a red card.
And then your Memo Diaz, yes, you want to protect your team. Do it in the right way, the right manner. and let your football do all the talking.
We get that second look at it. Obviously, the referees don't have that second look at it, but it's easy to see why the El Paso players crowded the referee and were pleading right away for it to be red.
You always run the risk, right? When you put your arm so high towards the neck and face area of the opposition. There's a fine line between making yourself big and protecting yourself. Running your arm becoming a dangerous, reckless play. Johnny Rodriguez, like you said, Joe, I think he's very lucky only to see yellow there.
Diaz sends it in. Benny Diaz punches away. Remember, the foul was initially called for the tug against Rodriguez. His elbow came after the fact. Now player down for El Paso. What a job, though, Brian Clairhout has done here, taking over this El Paso team this season. They started off really poor. Just couldn't find their way until a road game against Louisville got them on track. Then they got really hot, and they got cold again. Ups and downs for this El Paso team. All they need is a point tonight. Already a 2-0 lead. It's Gomez the concern now on the ground. Injury report brought to you by UCSF Health and UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital. There were none reported by the Roots, but Jojo Nane's been out a while. That one was sort of understood. And a few on the list for El Paso. Don't forget also Oakland missing, not because of injury, Ryan Tamakas and Nabil Hackshaw to international duty. Gomez to his feet, making his way off the field. Keeping an eye on the happenings elsewhere. Other results pertain to seeding and not much else. San Antonio being told just equalized on Indy in the 88th minute. That game now 3-3. San Antonio would pull for the time being a point back ahead of Orange County. San Diego still has to play later tonight, kicking off in just a bit. So a win for San Diego, they could jump to 2, but right now it's San Antonio 2, Orange County 3, and San Diego 4. Something behind the play was spotted by Duanjai, and a yellow card was given in the El Paso direction. McHugh on the receiving end of it. Rodriguez was the one left on the ground. So maybe a little spillover from what happened a few moments ago.
Bit of retaliation from the center back. Just comes to the backside of Johnny Rodriguez. As he sees yellow card, now it's a big challenge for him in terms of his discipline and his positioning for the remainder of this game, something you don't want. First 20 minutes, your center back on the yellow card.
Diaz chatting with Lindo Mafeka. Similar to the free kick they had earlier, sort of no man's land. Can't strike it from here. Not easy to get a cross in from here. Diaz will try for the end line. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, player's choice. For Noah Delgado, what's the messaging right now? Are you looking at certain benchmarks to try and get at least one goal back? Is it, hey, can we be 2-1 down at the half and then put all our eggs in the basket of scoring twice in the second? What are you hoping for, beside goals coming in bunches? But what is the messaging right now if you're Noah Delgado?
I think first and foremost, calm, get on the ball, play yourself into this game. It's been very direct. And yes, that can help you, but also we talked about the identity of the Oakland Roots side. It's a confidence, it's a combination play underneath Johnny Rodriguez, so you want to get Lindo Mafeka, you want to get Cedeno on the ball a bit more. And if you can get one goal by halftime, then you'll feel comfortable, at least a little bit more comfortable for Noah Delgado in terms of your halftime talk. You bringing in players off the bench, just raising the level. But I do think it starts with this first 5 minutes, getting on the ball, dictating tempo, because yes, you've had a lot of the ball, but El Paso's been more threatening, right? Forcing a turnover, first look forward, breaking lines, playing in behind your back line. So how do you dictate that? How do you negate away from those transition moments? Just taking the sting out of the confidence of El Paso.
These teams have reverse splits than what you'd expect playing at home and playing on the road. Oakland much better on the road this year. They're only 4, 5, and 7 at home. It's played in again. The flag stays down again. Is it 3 for El Paso? It's well off target. Shades of the opening goal for Sinupe, where the Oakland back line was looking for an offside flag that was nowhere to be found. And now Noah Delgado is voicing his displeasure with the assistant referee.
But now if you're the back line for the Oakland Roots, there's no pressure on the ball whatsoever. You have to drop. It's 3 times now that you've just gotten beaten from a direct ball. Offside or not, the lino's not calling it. You have to be a bit better in dropping in unison or stepping in unison. Give credit to Paul Blanchett in that last instance. Comes off big, closes down the angle. Really denies Lions a 3rd goal in the first 22 minutes for the visitors here.
Long again. Sinupe nowhere to be found this time. Oakland 4, 5, and 7 at home. I was saying before, this El Paso team 7, 5, and 4 on the road. Conventional wisdom, you'd think you'd like to be at home with your back against the wall. Clementa as well to win that one back. Ahead of Calvillo. Cedeno headed back by Dollenmeyer, watch out. It was left a little bit short, but Benny Diaz alert to it. It looks like right now, El Paso would actually leapfrog New Mexico into 7th. Oakland sitting down in 10th in the live table. Just have to win to get in. That's the name of the game tonight for Oakland. They need at least 3 goals to do so. Got in on the final day 2 seasons ago. And last year left it for late as well. Went on to beat El Paso on the road opening round 2 seasons ago. And they beat San Diego on the road last season. 2 years in USL, 2 playoff appearances, and a win in each season. The El Paso team started their tenure in USL similarly, made 3 straight postseasons before they failed to qualify last year. They want to get right back to it. First year under Brian Clairhout. And they could check that box with just 1 point tonight. Barbier. Jai. Diaz. For Cedeno. Starting to see again some of that calmness you were preaching, Ricky. Rodriguez looking through from Mafeka. He wasn't there. And after dicey few moments after they conceded that 2nd goal and the tempers flaring, they settled things down again, looking more like themselves.
Probably the best passage of play that we've seen from the Oakland Roots, patient in their build-out phase, moving the ball from left to right. And then you have that weak-sided number 10 running underneath Johnny Rodriguez, but once again, just so vulnerable, direct balls.
Miles Lyons turns it back.
And it's defending 1-on-1, Joe. If you play in a back 3, if one of them step up to challenge for that initial ball, the other 2 need to drop in and provide that coverage, and that's not happening. It's a lack of rotation. It's always a 1v1 going back the other way for Paso Locomotive now. And those are the little moments that Noah Delgado kept preaching to us about. Needs to be better box defending, needs to be better defending 1-on-1 in principles, right? No pressure on the ball, you have to drop. If there's pressure on the ball, that's when you can congest the field and stay more compact. Reading of the game hasn't been the best for the Oakland Roots as of late.
Navarro again going direct, looking for it. Another chance here. Clementa gets his foot on it and gets it past Sinupe with Gomez lurking behind. This El Paso team has found something in the direct play. It's actually reminiscent of that game I referenced earlier when they got back on track to begin this season on the road against Louisville. In that game, they saw next to none of the ball. They didn't really have too many chances 3 direct balls over the top, 3 goals, a 3-0 win over Louisville. And that started the run they had. They would not lose again until July 1st. They won that game March 25th, did not lose again until July 1st. And then the tumble began. After they lost on July 1st, they wouldn't win again until August 26th. So ups and downs for El Paso. Probably fair with where they're at through it all. Just haven't had that consistency. It's been the highest of highs, lowest of lows. Experience the highest of highs tonight. If they can get into the postseason with a win or draw. Sanupe, 7 minutes in. Noah Dollenmeyer, 14 minutes in. Stunned the crowd. They've come back to life. Fervent in their support, these Roots fans. Expecting over 6,000 tonight. Don't have an official number yet. They're expecting to set the club record. Previously was just over 5,800 for a game earlier this season. A doubleheader with their Seoul team on the women's side. Diaz, Lindo Mafeka. SCL Cedeno back through for Diaz in front. The offside flag came up.
Good bit of movement here, but look at the far end of your screen. Memo Diaz, he's onside by a mile. Bad call by the lino. But you just see a little bit of a glimpse of how good the Oakland Roots can be with runners off the ball, combination play around the corner in that final third.
Looks like they've been on the wrong side of a couple of those tonight, Oakland. The one for the opening goal in Sanupe. Again, the best look we had at it. The freeze frame of where the ball was played. He was out of the picture. The 2 defenders weren't. It's the best we could do. A free kick coming for Oakland. Tried to play quickly. NDI would not allow it. Probably for the better because they didn't really have the numbers there. And this is a really good spot to whip a ball in.
We've seen throughout his career wearing an Oakland Roots jersey, Memo Diaz understands when to play direct, when to play centrally, and when to combine. Has a very good feel for the ongoing runners, especially his number 9. Plays it down the channel. Johnny Rodriguez feels all the contact, makes the most of it, and wins a very dangerous set piece here for the Oakland Roots.
Diaz and Cedeno over it again. Always between one of those 2 for the corners. Really wide free kick, both gifted in the service. Cedeno a left foot, Diaz a right foot.
And I do think if you're Cedeno, you're aiming for this at the back post.
It'll be Diaz instead toward that back post. And he overcooked it just a bit, but the corner granted here. Corner coming now for the Roots from the near side.
And those are just so tricky for a goalkeeper, because you don't know whether to come off your line with the traffic in front of you. And if you stay home, you're just trusting your defenders to take any sort of responsibility to win their individual battles.
Take it quickly. Cedeno, top of the box, something off the training ground. Donaciano. Diaz has it. For the most part, that one worked out the way they intended. Just right to Diaz in the end. Become a part owner of the Oakland Roots and Seoul SC now by heading to wefunder.com/Oakland. Fans 18 and up can join the ownership group for as little as $100 today. Half an hour into this one, happy to have you with us on Judgment Weekend. It is decision time for these 2 teams. Winner or draw gets El Paso in as the 8th seed. Oakland, a win gets them in that final spot. Ricky Lopez Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. And tempers are starting to flare here. Another yellow card doled out. This one to Chapa Herrera. Joins Eric McHugh in the book on the El Paso side. Rodriguez with the yellow on the Oakland side.
Just mistimes this challenge from Herrera. The ball's gone to swooping motion off of his left leg that catches Donaciano on the back end of it. Now center of the park on the yellow card. Him and a center back, like you said, McHugh. Spicy moments here for El Paso.
Had a 2-0 lead and lost at Oakland a couple of games ago against San Antonio. And they flipped the script tonight. San Antonio did it by scoring early in the second half and then in stoppage time, but just doing that wouldn't be enough for Oakland, who need the 3 points tonight. Diaz launches one. And Benny Diaz has no trouble. 4 shots, 2 on target for the Roots, 65% of the possession. Had 5 corners, had a few free kicks in the attacking half, but nothing to show for it. A couple of direct plays for El Paso. Look at the goal scoring. 7 minutes and 14 minutes in. Sinupe and Dollenmeyer. Over the top toward Mafeka. Benny Diaz, a very active keeper off his line. And he's needed it a couple of times tonight where he's gotten there just ahead of the would-be attacker.
And is exactly what Nel Delgado mentioned to us on our phone call as well. Just reads the game very well. Comes off his line at the right time, but also very comfortable with his feet and can kickstart attacking phases of the game for the visitors here. Understands when to bypass that front line, play wide, play into the front line. Benny Diaz is a big-time goalkeeper.
Come back in midfield by Rose. Heavy tackle behind the play. Might be coming back for another card when it stops. The play is held up. And Ndiaye is coming across to check on the injured player, William Rose. No card given out just quite yet. That pointed directly at Lino Mafeka as if he was coming back to give him something. See that oftentimes from a referee. Making a mental note of it. He'll circle back eventually. Calling the trainers over now to look at Rose, and the yellow card now in hand.
And Lindo Mafeka comes in extremely rash. We'll see him come to the picture right now. Studs are exposed, just stomps over the right foot of Rose here. Knows exactly what he's doing, and much like Johnny Rodriguez, that's easily a different color with the intent. Just stomps over the foot, studs are exposed. No one's gonna leave a mark.
Well, no VAR, but sort of even out at the end of the day. Probably would have pulled back El Paso's first goal, at least on the evidence we've gathered. But give it and take it. Probably playing with 9 men right now, the Oakland Roots, if it was in the picture. That's a heck of a hypothetical. Would you rather, in a must-win game, give up that goal or be down to 9 men? I think you'd rather neither, but given the options, I don't know. Probably rather keep the men and be down the goal. Playing from behind 2 men is tough.
Don't wish that that choice on anyone, but keeping all 11 players on the field.
Barbier. Here's Mafeka. He's popped up in the big moments for this Oakland team through the years. 2 years ago, in a gotta-have-it game against Tacoma, scored a brace. Last year, in a gotta-have-it game against Phoenix, scored a brace. And he is one of the guys mentioned by name from Noah Delgado. And when it comes to somebody stepping up tonight, all year long, a bit about the collective. Maybe point to Rodriguez as the leading scorer for a guy who has stood out above the rest, but statistically, it's been by committee, the goal scoring this year, and the assists. It's other guys pitching in here and there. But on a night where you have to have players rise to the moment, there's Pelaez, Rodriguez, and Mafeka were highlighted by the head coach Noah Delgado. And they haven't really called any of those names yet. Definitely not Pelaez, because he didn't start tonight, but could see him later. They haven't called Rodriguez or Mafeka a ton, other than to say they maybe should have been off with red cards upon further review. With just 10 minutes to go in the first half, that is completely gone El Paso's way. Needing just the 1 point tonight. They have to concede 3 times in order to cough up that final playoff spot now. Can you get one back before half if you're Oakland and turn momentum in your favor? Gomez, 3 in the second half is a tall ask. If you get one back here before half, 2 feels more doable.
And every time you talk to any head coach, the first 5 and the last 5 of each half are just so important. So you don't want to concede, and if you do, it's an uphill battle, but now you have 2. So I do think if you're Nels Delgado, you're just looking to cut that in half right before halftime. Because it gives you the confidence, it gives you the momentum, the understanding and the belief that we can get into this game. You just see the gaps in the back line for the Oakland Roots. It's a lack of rotation. You just see Tarek Murad talking to Jai here. And I do think Jai needs to be a bit more of an option on the attacking phase of the game, whether it's wide or whether it's high. But hasn't put any sort of pressure on Navarro, the right side defender of the 3 for El Paso Locomotive.
That's really been an issue for Oakland all year long. Defensively, just gaps in between with center backs. Popped up 3 minutes in game you and I had against Monterey Bay just a few weeks back. Alex Dixon scored 3 minutes in. It was just quick, direct keeper, glancing header on from Lidl right through to Dixon, and they were in.
But give credit to Brian Clairhout as well, understanding if we played their rack, this Oakland Roots side is vulnerable. We put in Sanupe, who didn't get the start last time out, and you let him run, and you let him be a vertical threat, and he's been very good. Took his goal extremely well. Gomez underneath him, he's the player that plays in between the lines, and then you have Cavillo, Herrera, and Rose. Like I mentioned in the open, very good in terms of the engine and just reading and understanding moments, when to go, when to slow things down.
Gomez, Diaz. Moves it along for Cedeno. That's it on Dollenmeyer. Back out on Dollenmeyer. Cedeno back inside, taken down, penalty. A lifeline for the Roots. And it's the spark plug that is Jesse Cedeno, who kept turning. Dollenmeyer left, right. Finally left again and goes down. And it looks like a yellow card was also given in the aftermath of that to Calvillo for dissent. He's trying to argue, hey, I'm the captain, I can talk to you, but there's a line you don't have to cross.
Exactly where you want Cedeno. Downhill, knows exactly what he's doing to Dollenmeyer, spins him like a top, inside and out, little drop of the shoulder. Here you go, see you later. Not a lot of contact, but you make the most of it, that's for sure. There is contact on the trailing leg. Brilliant individual work from Cedeno, and now you give the Oakland Roots the ability to get one back here in minute 39.
Lindo Mafeka has the ball in hand. And now he hands it off to Rodriguez. 12 goals on the season for Johnny Rodriguez. Massive moment in the chase for this final playoff spot. Benny Diaz in goal. Johnny Rodriguez from the spot, and Johnny Rodriguez is denied by Benny Diaz. What a stop by the former member of the Oakland Roots. Could hear the life come out of this crowd in that moment. They were ready to erupt, not meant to be. Complete shift in the mood here at Pioneer Stadium. Jai, listen to it. Gone completely silent.
You can hear a pin drop here at Pioneer Stadium.
(2-1) would have been so different. Still have time, of course, before halftime to get that goal and bring it closer. What a moment for Benny Diaz against your former team. Coming up big on a penalty. You wonder how many were taken by Johnny Rodriguez on the training ground last year, and if Diaz sort of felt like he knew which way it was going. Gomez. And a free kick coming for El Paso.
Really interesting, because if you're Johnny Rodriguez, you do this little stutter step and the pause right before just to see which way Benny Diaz dives. To be honest, Benny Diaz dives right before Johnny Rodriguez hits the ball. Take a look at it here. As he takes that little bit of a stutter step to his right-hand side, you have to go the other way. But what a fantastic save that is from that man. Makes himself big. Just takes all the air out of Pioneer Stadium here.
Now, in your mind as a striker, if you're the one taking that penalty, that first step Diaz took was left. It's his power step to go back right.
Language.
Right, it's his power step to go back right, but does him going left first, is that something that would have maybe sent Rodriguez the other way? Shouldn't have.
I think if you take that stutter step, watch out here.
Cedeno, who won the penalty moments ago. Diaz. Goes down, play continues. The corner coming.
As a striker, and you're looking at the goalie the whole time, that stutter step, you have to take any sort of his movement. So when he leans to that right-hand side, game's done. You go the other way. That's the risk you run, right? When you start changing your mind last second, that's when you start to get that little bit of inconsistency. You don't hit it cleanly enough, but once you see the goalkeeper lean to one way, you have to go the other way. And that's your technique, taking a pen. The stutter step, the way that Johnny Rodriguez approaches that ball, that's what you would expect him to do.
'24 Oakland Roots membership is now available. For more information, visit us at oaklandrootssc.com/tickets or call 510-488-1144. Jai lining up for a long throw. It was off of a long throw that they scored the late equalizer against Monterey Bay a couple of games ago, and after all that, they go short. Jai from the Naciano, and they win a corner out of it.
I say he needs to become a bit more active. Could confuse a lot of people. It's obviously not an attacking threat, but just his spacing, and he draws out defenders, right? So if he stays high, it makes lines drop back. It confuses him and Navarro because they need to make a decision. Do they stay outside or they stay compact with their back floor? And that little bit of hesitation gives them Mafeka the ability to get on the half turn. So you need a bit more relationship on this near side for the Oakland Roots.
Driven ball in, the header is off frame by Rodriguez. He stands frozen for a moment.
And it's almost a carbon copy of how Johnny Rodriguez scores in Texas earlier this season. Good ball in from Memo Diaz. He has Benny Diaz beat. If that's on target, it's a goal for Johnny Rodriguez. Just doesn't have the ability to get his shoulders around the ball and put it on target. Once again, big opportunity missed for the Oakland Roots.
That goal you were referencing in the 3-1 win at El Paso's place. You're gonna need at least 3 again tonight, Oakland. Only a win gets them in. El Paso is through with a draw. 7 tickets in the West already punched. 10 through 12 already eliminated. Just these 2 teams alive for the final spot. Navarro looking long for Serupe. The flag comes up. Four minutes of added time here at the end of this first half. Head towards Cedeno. Rose cut it off. They Cleared by Dollenmeyer. You wonder how soon in the second half should it remain 2-0. Noah Delgado dips into the bench, brings on the extra striker, Anwar Pelaez. Also Napo Masoso on the bench and Trayvon Reed for some of the proven options, but in Cruz and Saldana, you have two guys who have been part of Project 510. Extra bodies available on the bench with other guys missing. Nane due to injury, Tamakas and Hackshaw with international duty. So it's not the deepest bench on a night where you might have to throw everything at El Paso and find a way to score 3. Here's Babakar Jai coming in. He's turned around by Navarro. Good bit of defending, tracking back from Mark Navarro. Just when it seemed Jai was in behind, Navarro stepped in front.
He takes that first touch and out of his body ahead of him. It's a really good opportunity for Jai to get in beyond this back line of El Paso. You think he agrees with that call? I don't think so.
I guess not.
As the Naciano comes outside.
Well, he's got a reason not to agree with it.
Not much there at all. It's a softs one. The Naciano gets away with one.
Diaz, good ball toward the top of the 6. Chapa Herrera looking at clear only as far as Memo Diaz. Volleys it across. Waiting for it was Barbier. Handed away by McHugh. Let's go Oakland chance starting again. This crowd was left silenced by the Benny Diaz penalty save on Johnny Rodriguez. Gomez. Cedeno on his preferred left foot gets the ball in. And away by McHugh. And cleared to safety by Gomez. It's already feeling like the 90th minute, the way that El Paso is sitting back and Oakland, is just sending wave after wave forward. Expect 45 more minutes of this in the second half. See if El Paso can nab another on the counter. I don't like the way they scored their first. And Jai called for the foul. Stops any opportunity for Rodriguez coming through.
And it's a bad touch here from McHugh, but it's a trailing left leg of Jai that catches him. Yes, it's a foul. But if he does not stick out his leg, it's a golden opportunity for the Oakland Roots to put a lot of pressure on Diaz going back the other way. McHugh gets away with a loose touch in the back. You talk about game plan, Joe. Beating a mid to low block with 11 players behind the ball is one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing to do in football. So for Noah Delgado, the message too is the ball needs to move extremely quick. You need to be very decisive when you're on the ball and the movement on the front line, especially Johnny Rodriguez. Sometimes you want him to make those selfless runs, to pull out a center back at the spots that they don't want to be in, to open up a gap for a secondary runner. You need to have a lot of creativity. You have to have a lot of courage and confidence in this next 45 minutes for the Oakland Roots, but for the name of the game for Brian Clairhout and El Paso Locomotive, stay compact, keep everything in front of you, and if you can get a third in transition moments, you're going to be sitting extremely well, walking yourself into the playoffs.
Don't know that Brian Clairhout could have asked for a better first half from his team, trying to punch its ticket to the postseason. All they need is a tie. And what they did was come out here, scored 2 goals in the first 15 minutes, sit back, defend, kept the 0, and they take a 2-0 lead into the break. Oakland has to win to get in. El Paso's through with a win or a draw, and they're in the driver's seat now. Second half on the way from Hayward, California. Halftime show coming up next, brought to you by Anthem.
Eating a balanced diet and being physically active are 2 of the most important things you can do to be healthy at any age. Fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins can help control your weight and prevent heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Regular exercise can help boost your mood, digestion, and sleep. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Oakland Roots encourage you to eat right and get active. For additional healthy tips, visit www.oaklandrootssc.com/anthem.
Wouldn't it be great to have delicious, healthy meals delivered right to your door? No planning, shopping, or prepping. And what if your delivery was full of plant-based, fresh ingredients that truly nourish and fuel your body? Try Thistle. Our in-house chefs create a new menu each week for you to choose from before it arrives ready to eat. No prep needed. And for a limited time, you can save $100 off your first 4 weeks. So go ahead and autopilot your diet. Get started today at jointhistle.com.
Do you like getting cash back on your credit card? A free coffee when you fill your cafe's punch card? A complimentary dessert with your restaurant order? Then you'll like getting a 5% discount on your electricity with East Bay Community Energy's Bright Choice service. Visit ebce.org to learn more about EBCE's low rates for electricity. How can someone so cute be so complicated? Someone so grown up still have so much growing left to do. We know kids aren't mini adults. Their still developing bodies and minds need specialized care, including physicians and care teams who focus on treating kids and only kids, which is why from everyday to emergencies, kids belong at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals.
Halftime brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross. Anthem is transforming healthcare by improving the health of our local communities, and these Oakland fans are stunned after the first 45. Over 6,000 expected on hand tonight. No official number yet. A record for the team, hoping to celebrate a win to get into the playoffs. It's been anything but that so far. And a look right now at the live table. A win for El Paso would actually leapfrog them over New Mexico into 7th, and Oakland would fall to 10th. But pay no mind to any of the other teams right now. Scenario is still simple. Win for Oakland, they're in. Win or draw for El Paso, they're in. Here's the bracket as it stands at the moment. They're all great matchups.
You're looking at the right-hand side for me. It's the Orange County against El Paso Locomotive. San Antonio hosting Phoenix Rising. Obviously, talented on the left side, but the right side, I think you're looking at those two matchups, and that's going to be really interesting.
I'm looking upper left. I disagree with you. Sacramento, New Mexico. New Mexico's the hottest team right now, or among the hottest in the West. Going to Sacramento, but here's a look at the Eastern Conference, where Pittsburgh ran away with the Players' Shield, and Tampa Bay picked up a win tonight. So if Sacramento does not beat Miami, it's currently 0-0 at halftime. It would be either Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay guaranteed to host the final over any Western team. So the power really lies right now in the East. And here's what the bracket looks like for the moment in the Eastern Conference. It'd be Miami in. Miami were to lose to Sacramento. Detroit City would get in. Everything else, though, now is set. That's the only other Eastern Conference game in action. So bottom left, upper right, bottom right, all set. Only thing left to be determined is it Miami or Detroit City against Pittsburgh.
I'm looking at the bottom right. Charleston Battery in the 11. For me, in the 11, you look at once time comes, you're looking for game changers. You're looking for talented players and difference makers. Look at that roster Mark Lowry has. I think they're going to be a dark horse in the playoffs.
Memphis, Louisville, they have quite the history. And last year, they didn't like each other very much, and they meet now in the first round. That's also one to watch as well, as is the remainder of this game. Still all hanging in the balance. Win and get in for Oakland. Hold on to win or tie, and you're in if you're El Paso. More to come from Pioneer Stadium.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
There's nothing like the support of your teammates. When it comes to your health, Anthem Blue Cross is here for you. If you enrolled in a Medi-Cal health plan at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, then you may need to renew your coverage or find a new plan that's right for you. Anthem offers budget-friendly individual and family plans, some starting at $0. Renew your coverage or explore other options. Learn more at remaincovered.com/CA. Welcome back into the Anthem halftime show. El Paso 2, Oakland 0. We'll step away from this one for a moment, take a broader look around the USL Championship. And it's the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. All roads run through Highmark Stadium, claiming the Players' Shield. And Ricky, if you think that they'll be playing in that title game on November 12th, what a day that'll be, we'll go on to the bracket challenge and fill that out. We can't do it. We can't do it, but you guys can all do it at home. Go to that link and do it. If you think the Players' Shield winners Pittsburgh can go on a run, maybe you think El Paso holds on to this game and goes on a run. Maybe you think Sacramento puts on their start above the crest. You can do it all on the bracket challenge. And maybe you go off the board. Maybe you're trying to think about who's hot right now going into the postseason. And that would certainly be Miami. If they could hold on for the draw, currently 0-0 against Sacramento at the half. They are number 5 in the power rankings, and they're a team who might just barely sneak in. Terrific form down the stretch.
And I mentioned it with Indy 11, but you look at Louis Neal and what he's done since taking over for Anthony Pulis. He's just giving them freedom, right? You have players that can make a difference, but it's never going to be an easy feat. You're at Sacramento, but you did get the job done against Charleston Battery. But I do think it's fair, right? You look at Colorado Springs Switchbacks, how good have they been? The Riverhounds, the best team in USL Championship in 2023. But Orange County, I think, once again, making that late surge. And like you said, Joe, 2021, a lot of similarities in that season.
A lot of similarities. Don't sleep on Indy either, by the way. Now top 10 in the power rankings. They've come on late as well. Out of town scores brought to you by Visit Oakland. Get out on the town and visit Oakland to explore arts, culture, and world-class cuisine. Bottom left, San Diego can put a wrench into the top 4 with a victory. Orange County right now jockeying for position, leading Monterey Bay. But the big one for qualification into the postseason is Sacramento and Miami. A winner draw gets Miami in, a loss for Miami, and Detroit City, who are sitting at home watching, would get in over Miami.
So interesting. This is exactly what you want. Judgment weekend comes down to the last minute, the last game in this Western Conference.
Always works out that way. You got 33 games leading up to this week, and through all of that, through the 6+ months that we've gone through, almost 7 months really, all comes down to this. 45 more minutes to play here. El Paso winner draw, they're through. Oakland must win to get in. All coming down to the wire here at Pioneer Stadium.
There's satisfaction in sacrifice, in spilling blood, sweat, and tears, in knowing that you left it all on the floor and never threw in the towel. Well, except to clean up the mess. Giving it all for your team is worth every drop. Modelo, brewed for fans with a fighting spirit.
How can someone so cute be so complicated? Someone so grown up still have so much growing left to do. We know kids aren't many adults. Their still developing bodies and minds need specialized care, including physicians and care teams who focus on treating kids and only kids, which is why from everyday to emergencies, kids belong at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals.
Wouldn't it be great to have delicious, healthy meals delivered right to your door? No planning, shopping, or prepping. And what if your delivery was full of plant-based, fresh ingredients that truly nourish and fuel your body? Try Thistle. Our in-house chefs create a new menu each week for you to choose from before it arrives ready to eat. No prep needed. And for a limited time, you can save $100 off your first 4 weeks. So go ahead and autopilot your diet. Get started today at jointhistle.com.
My name is Ed, and I live in San Leandro, California. I've always been concerned about being prepared. And being on a medical baseline where I have a CPAP machine, I was wondering, will I be able to keep that thing going? I got an email from East Bay Community Energy, and they mentioned a rebate about getting an electrical generator. So I went for it. East Bay Community Energy has been great. They're doing a job to help our environment, and I think they're really supportive.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross, UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals, and UCSF Health, and Modelo, all proud partners of the Oakland Roots. Look at highlights from half number 1, brought to you by UCSF Health. It starts right out of the gate, 7 minutes in, direct from El Paso, and they're on the board.
First look always forward. Offside, not offside, you be the judge, but on our look, it did look like Sinope was beyond Emma Clemenza and Tarek Murad, but once again, you just see one pass breaks through 2 lines of the Oakland Roots in the defensive structure, but take nothing away from the composure from Sinope, straight through the legs of Paul Blanchett. But Donaciano, he tries to overcomplicate things centrally, forces a turnover, great ball in, and the big man makes no mistake about the finish. Right over his left shoulder, you see the lack of marking between Jai and Tarek Murad. No chance for Paul Blanchett. Dream start for El Paso Locomotive.
And then from there, you thought Oakland might work back into it. Cedeno draws the penalty, 40th minute. All right, let's get to halftime, down only 1. Only needs 2 goals in the second half. The math starts mathing, but Benny Diaz against his former team does this.
And it's a slow run up, but as you see Benny Diaz lean one way, you have to go the other way for Johnny Rodriguez, but take nothing away from a top quality save, make himself big, and you just see the rebound goes wide, never back to a central channel for that spillage. 2-0. El Paso walks into halftime here on the road at Pioneer Stadium.
And just an efficient half. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. That's it for El Paso. 7 shots, 3 on target, but a 0 in the goal column for Oakland, who have controlled the ball and have been the first to many second balls. They've been, by a lot of metrics, a better team, but El Paso knew the task at hand, and they are playing perfect football in the context of what the job at hand is tonight.
And when you talk about playoffs, right, it doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to be effective. You need to put the ball in the back of the net and keep the ball out of your own net. And El Paso Locomotive has done just that. Not an easy feat coming into this hostile environment. You talked about it to be expected. A sellout crowd, Pioneer Stadium. We see how good the Oakland Roots have been over the years at home. Take this thing right out of the stadium, get on the score sheet, and now you see Mel Delgado not wasting any sort of time as Pelaez and Trayvon Reed coming on to make their impact felt.
Pelaez from Mafeka. It's Reed for Donaciano. See how they line up in a moment. All subs tonight brought to you by East Bay Community Energy, providing green power at low rates. Visit ebce.org to find out more. 2 changes out of the gates for Oakland. Chasing the goals. They need 3 at least if they're going to go through to the postseason. Made it each of their first 2 years in USL Championship. Danger of missing out. El Paso made it each of their first 3 seasons in USL Championship. Missed out last year for the first time. Hoping to get right back to it. And now underway in half number 2. El Paso right to left. Oakland left to right. With MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malva. Happy to have you with us tonight. Final 45 minutes of the USL Championship regular season.
It's going to change now how the Oakland Roots set up in their tactical formation. Cedeno's going to drop in a line deeper right next to Gomez. You're going to have Pelaez, Rodriguez, and Reed as your front line. So I expect a lot of verticality, but also having the balance centrally is going to be key for the Oakland Roots. Gomez needs to stay home just a tiny bit more because Cedeno's more attacking minded and likes to get him in for a late trailing run. Already you see El Paso, 11 players in their defensive half. How do you break this defensive structure down? Movement, ball quickness, and ball circulation.
Something else they've tinkered with this year is using Danny Barbier as a left wing back. He gets this ball inside, and He's all the way out on that sideline, delivering that ball in. Everything has to be, of course, attacking minded now. Doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 4-0, but you do need to win to get on in. Calais wanted it. Fall for him. Diaz over the top, punched away by Benny Diaz. Back to Memo Diaz. Petrovic clears it centrally, gives it away to Reed. Cedeno. Memo Diaz, back for Cedeno. Right on the front foot, Oakland, to begin this second half. Cedeno cuts it back. Cedeno to Reed, blocked on the way in. Palais! What a moment for Anwar Palais! Oakland has life!
We talked about the importance of the first 5 and the last 5. You make some tactically changes for Nel Delgado and you tell your Magic players, go out and produce for me. Go out and pull something out of a hat. It falls kindly for Pelaez. So instinctual, so clinical, fantastic individual brilliance. And that's exactly what Nel Delgado wanted and the Oakland Roots needed. And where Pelaez take a bow. The Oakland Roots are right back into this thing.
Well, you couldn't have scripted a better start than that. Your substitute on a bicycle, and it's a 1-goal game again. This is what the 6,000 plus in attendance wanted. The last thing you want to have happen, what could be your final game of the season, is to be blanked, to have nothing to celebrate about. Look, even if you lose 2-1, 3-2, at least you had moments to latch onto over the 90 for the faithful here in Oakland. At a moment, and they have maybe 42 more moments, and they're still alive.
I'm just about to mention, it's going to give a different look for the Oakland Roots on the top line. Anwar Pelaez, more physical number 9, likes to throw his body around and just be a nuisance.
Johnny Rodriguez, almost there through the traffic.
And as he's going to occupy the center backs now, you start to see Johnny Rodriguez go and search for the game in those half pockets.
Reed, overlap coming from Diaz. Reed goes for goal. Benny Diaz has it.
He finds himself in some really good spots on the field, Trayvon Reed, but the only development that you want, the progressiveness from him, is getting that end product. More goals, more assists, and more quality in that final third. And it's a moment that you want back. You need to put a little bit more pressure there on Benny Diaz.
Rose telegraphed it, taken away. Babakar Jai on his horse. Jai works to his left, forced wide by McHugh. And the moment's gone. Unless Reed can rescue it, he can't. Jai had that red. I'd like more from him in that moment. Hearing the orders being barked from Brian Clairhout over on the bench. He just called for a flat back 4 of El Paso. Jai the long toss. Loose. Rose clears. This is going to be 40 minutes of edge of your seat action. Paso, this is what it's going to be for them the rest of the way. Can they pick one off in the counter? They have the numbers right now, 5-on-5 and plenty of space. Petrovic. Oakland gets back. Petrovic keeps it going. Petrovic cleared away. Reed. Forgot the ball. Found it again. Dollenmeyer defending for an El Paso throw.
Let's take another look at this piece of magic for Anwar Pillai. Just so instinctual, and that's exactly what you want from a number 9. As the ball rises up, you know exactly what you're going to do. The acrobatics, the body control, and the technical ability it takes to pull that off. This hostile environment loves it.
Barbier, direct to Reed. Trayvon Reed needs a better service there. He's had a couple of moments where he could have supplied it for Oakland, squandered each of them so far. You can see why they like him up and down the wing. Young Jamaican winger, some of the bright spots he's had in transition on the ball, but things in the final third that have broken down for him. That final piece.
Just needs to be cleaner, playing out. As the ball comes out to you, you need to hit it extremely well back across the mouth of the goal. Because if you do that, like you mentioned, Joe, that's 3 opportunities since you came on the field that has been lacking the last bit of quality in that final third.
Miss a minute of the remaining action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of the USL Championship on ESPN Plus, home of the USL, La Liga, Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. Cedeno lost it, and Gomez. Sanupe to his right. Gomez gets past Clementa, still with it. What a run from Gomez. Just Blanchette to beat, cuts it back. Gomez still loose. Blanchette has it. Beat everybody on his way to goal. Could go no further, Gomez. Elsewhere, nothing matters in terms of the playoff hopes of these teams, but Orange County up 1-0 on Monterey Bay. They'd be the 2 seed. San Diego tied near halftime with Vegas. They'd be the 4 seed with San Antonio, still at number 3. Sacramento and Miami are 0-0 at the hour mark. Sacramento's already won the West, but Miami would get in with a draw as the 8th seed in the East over Detroit City. So coming down on the wire. Heavy collision, edge of the area, and it goes against Memo Diaz. Good time to remind you maybe of the yellow card still out there on the field. McHugh, Herrera, Calvillo for El Paso. Only Johnny Rodriguez on the Oakland side.
I don't think there's any ill will here from Memo Diaz. Eyes on the ball. Just comes in a little bit late and catches Dollenmeyer on the backside of it. I do think the run-up leading up to it, that's what gets him in trouble. There's not much in that, to be fair.
Minutes into the second half, complexion has changed, courtesy of Anwar Pillai getting on his bike and making it 2-1. Barbier. What is the possession metric going to look like at the end of the second half? El Paso keeping everybody back. Oakland having to send everybody forward. El Paso needs only a draw to get through. Cedeno, he's been more in the pocket, operating as a 10 in the second half after the substitutions that were made. Instead of being out on this right wing, that's where Trayvon Reed is now. Reed, end line, and he earns a corner first of the second half here for the Roots, brought to you by East Bay Community Energy, providing green power at low rates. Visit ebce.org to find out more.
Extremely active since coming on, Trayvon Reed. just with his movement, the ability to be vertical, stretches out this backline for El Paso Locomotive, and result of that, you start to get the players underneath you a bit more time and space to pick up their head and find those players higher up the field.
Memo Diaz, handed away by Dollenmeyer. They'll do it again. Well, it's easier said than done, but probably should try to avoid the 6'6" man on these deliveries in if you're Oakland. And it was the 6'6" Dollenmeyer who headed a goal home. That would be the winning goal right now. Made it 2-0 back in the 14th minute. Diaz again, loose in front. Another bike attempt going toward goal, and it's over the bar. Abakar Jai, the author of that attempt.
Bena Diaz has been very good coming off his line. Not in this instance. If you're a goalkeeper, you have to be extremely decisive. You're going to take any sort of play on this ball. Fortunate enough for him, Shai's bicycle kick just goes a bit heavy over that crossbar. What a goal that would have been. This place would have erupted here at Pioneer Stadium.
Kick on the way for El Paso. You can't sit back the whole way, can you, if you're El Paso? It's really just inviting the pressure, begging for something bad to happen.
Really good work here from Calvillo. It's when you lean on players like him, on Lions, that have the experience, they know how to take the sting out of the 12th man, which are the fans here at Pioneer Stadium. You slow things down, you take a little bit longer to get up, you take a little bit longer to throw the ball in. The dark arts of the game become that much more important if you're El Paso now for the remainder of the second half.
Barbier, direct, looking for Pelais. And yet another corner coming for Oakland. This is going to be number 10 on the night.
He just gives you a focal point, someone to play off of. Very good in playing off the shoulders of his individual marker, McHugh, Navarro, Dollenmeyer having a very difficult time dealing with Anwar Pelais. And as you play direct, second balls become that much more important to pick up the scraps higher up the field for the Oakland Roots. You're looking at Daniel, you're looking at Trayvon Reed, have the supporting runs.
Toward the back post, Pelais was there. Headed away at the last moment by Mark Navarro. Barmia was actually off of Pelais and out for a goal kick.
Let's go to the back post this time, Memo Diaz. I'll tell you what, we'll take a better look at it here, but it does look like Navarro takes the last touch here.
Oh, glance right there at the end off Pelais. Good eye. Sometimes you can just tell by the player how much zeal they have in the argument, let's say. Pelais turned around and he half-heartedly pointed to the corner. It's a man who knew it, glanced off the top of his head and tried his best sell job. Already seeing the goalkeeper, Benny Diaz, rushed a bit by our referee, Abdou Ndiaye. Now we're gone, a half hour remains, situation still the same. El Paso winner draw, they're the 8th and final playoff team in the West. Oakland a win, they would bump El Paso out and take that spot for themselves. Anwar Pelais, bicycle kick to begin the half. Wins one back for Oakland, gives them some life, gives them some hope. Still would need 2. Dollenmeyer puts it off of Cedeno. Rodriguez looking through for Reed. Too much on it. Paso preparing its first change. It'll be all for Sanupe. Nick Hines takes his spot. Sanupe scored the opening goal 7 minutes in and now departs.
Takes it extremely well, cool as you would like, confident as you would like. As Paul Blanchet comes up, tries to close down the angle right through the legs. Terrific goal from Sanupe, and really good shift from the target man for El Paso Locomotive. But now for Brian Clarehout, you bring in Nick Hines. It tells you you're going back into a back four. Natural left back, he's gonna slot into that back line and try to see this thing out. So how compact can the visitors be for the 29 plus minutes here? Because you know the Oakland Roots are gonna come, and they're gonna come in a lot of numbers. So that midfield battle becomes that much more important as well. If you are Calvillo, Herrera, and Rose, the ball gets by you, your job is not done. You have to have the ability to turn around and double down to do your defensive duties.
Picked up by Herrera. Now Rose. Gomez. Foul. Is there a target you have in mind, other than just as quick as possible if you're Oakland? You want it by the 80th, you want it by the 75th, sooner the better, but...
I think you're looking at the 75th for Noel Delgado, because in regulation games, the last 10 to 15 minutes, the last 10 minutes, are just chaos, right? You just see teams that are desperate for a result just pumping in, and that's when anything can happen. You look at, like you mentioned, Joe, on this very field, San Antonio, the way they clawed back against the Oakland Roots. So how do you emulate that? Good move there.
The move was better than the effort from that far out. Miles Lyons was hopeful. More direct from Oakland in the second half. It's paying off. Jai. End line. Jai floats it up. Diaz was waiting to swipe through on the volley. Hines got it away. Cedeno. Rodriguez tried to get it back through for Cedeno. Wrong angle taken to it. Can't watch the match. Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern, plus live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Yellow card for Memo Diaz.
He's beat. It's a professional foul here for Memo Diaz. Gomez gets a better body position. You just see clear pulling of the jersey of the arm. He's been very good, Memo Diaz, for the Oakland Roots. Not only tonight, but all season. Versatility to play on the left-hand side, right-hand side. Also, how good has Gomez been? Went on that fantastic individual run earlier this second half.
This could be a first for Memo Diaz. He's never missed the playoffs in his USL Championship career. Began in 2019 when El Paso came into existence. Made it those first 3 seasons. And he came over to the Oakland Roots. And has made it each of the 2 years with Oakland. Gomez. Quick give and go with Petrovic. slowed down a little bit. Track meet to begin the second half, especially after Oakland scored. Barbier looking for Pelais, falls for Cedeno. Cedeno to Reed. Trayvon Reed on the ground in front, it's still loose. Pelais leaves it for Jai, it's blocked. Liam Rose got his left leg on it, out for a corner.
Just the positioning of Trayvon Reed has caused so many confusion problems for this El Paso Locomotive side because they don't know whether to peel out or stay compact. As this ball falls extremely kind for Jai, does everything right, opens up his hips and tries to guide it into that near post. Big time last defending effort from El Paso's back line.
Driven ball in, Murad flicks it on. Clementa. Reed. Sacramento up 1-0 on Miami. Foul goes against Oakland. Doesn't mean anything again for these two teams, but it does for anybody supporting Detroit City at home watching. As of now, live table, live bracket. Miami would be replaced by Detroit City. Again, these final warnings here now. Taking a little bit too much time for Benny Diaz. Second time he's been warned by our referee. Ricardo Zacharias getting set to check on for El Paso. Just over 20 to play. Oakland has to score twice. As of now, El Paso would be in the playoffs. All they need is a win or a draw. Oakland must win. Petrovic supplied the assist on the goal to put them up 2-0. Won't supply another there.
It'll be his final action, Petrovic. As we see, Zacharias comes in, but he's a player that, if you can get him going, as it does look like El Paso is going to advance into the playoffs with 20 plus remaining here, but he can be a really big X factor for this side. Very good 1v1. We've seen his technical ability. Now you bring in Zacharias, who's had success in USL Championship, has the ability to find that end product as well. Really deep roster for Brian Clarehout.
Same can't really be said tonight for Oakland. Really, their two best offensive options off the bench, as they've been chasing these goals, have already been deployed in Reed and Pelais. Jai, throw. They wanted more, they wanted a free kick, but just a throw. Already seen the long toss from Jai, aiming for Tariq Murad and that flick on. Here it is, this time it's Barbier. Trying to flick it on. Cleared by Calvillo. And the flag comes up on Jai. A bit lackadaisical in the retreat to get back on side. Those are the moments where you don't realize it, but it starts to add up. It's an extra 20, 30 seconds gone that you probably could have avoided.
Really frustrating here from Jai, because you're looking across the field, you're watching the line. It's that little bit of extra effort to get yourself back on side. Little moments like that drive managers crazy.
Gomez. Been operating as the lone defensive midfielder now as they've committed the numbers forward. Been in that partnership with Donaciano to begin the night. They've had to shuffle the deck, Oakland. Haven't won a game since the end of August. This is not how they want their season to end, with a whimper. Final 8 games have seen 6 losses, 2 draws. Jai on the toe poke as he lunges. Almost out of nowhere. I didn't think he was going to get to that ball, but he did. And it's out for a goal kick.
He's come alive in the second half, but I do think he has more time than he thinks. The ability to bring this down. I think Benny Diaz coming off his line just throws Jai off just a tiny bit, but he has time to bring it down to get a clean first touch. And if he does that, it's a good opportunity for the Oakland Roots. You just see the difference from the wide angle for the Oakland Roots, whether it is Trayvon Reed on this near side or Dry on that far side. It just spreads out this back line for the opposition. And as they spread out, now you start to see Cedeno find some real estate to operate in, as well as Johnny Rodriguez.
Gomez down, play continues. As soon as he saw there was no call coming, got right back to his feet. Into space for Calvillo. Miles Lyons. There's been nothing to speak of offensively for El Paso in this second half. 1 shot off target, half-hearted at best, .01 expected goals, but they've done the hard work. Look out, Blanchette fumbles it as he stumbles over it. Nice to subvert it. That's not something you can have happen at this point. Diaz spots the run of Pelais, and away by McHugh. Getting close to that target of the 75th minute, Ricky, where you would have liked to have had that second goal by. Help set the table for the chaos that would be the final 10-15 minutes. Dollenmeyer would have the winning goal right now. The 6'6" center back's looking for more. Fish out of water, but continues his run. And now what? This is uncharted territory, still with it. Eyes open wide as a center back when you get into territory like that. Especially when you have a goal already tonight. Herrera. Navarro. It's the most sustained possession I think we've seen from El Paso in the second half. They don't really need it. They're just trying to pack everybody behind the ball and see this one through. Dangerous pass back here. Blanchette alert, clears it. And Blanchette was fouled in the process. That is 2 dicey moments that Oakland has had. Blanchette involves a pass back over the last few minutes. Might be time to take that one out of the playbook with 15 minutes to go.
Just silly mistakes from this back line of the Oakland Roots. Not enough weight on the ball back to Paul Blanchette as Lyons, opportunistic, just tries to get and intercept this ball. Paul Blanchette comes clear. Take a better look at it if there is any contact. Minimal, in fact, but Paul Blanchette's never won. Now make the most of it. He gets Miles Lyons on a yellow card here.
Brian Clearhout is not a happy man right now as he's talking over with the 4th official. It's moments down the stretch here, of course. Playoff spot on the line. Masoso takes the spot of Danny Gomez.
Yo, it's getting embarrassing, honestly. one ranking on the survey. I feel helpless out here.
Apologies for anything colorful you've heard from Brian Clairhout, but he's not the happiest camper right now with the officiating. Luis Saldana took the spot of Babacar Jai in addition to Masoso replacing Gomez. Diaz. Cedeno. Well won on the back end by Zacharias.
Moments like that, if you're Cedeno, you don't want to overcomplicate things. 14 minutes plus in the remainder of your season. Just put the ball into the mixer. Do the simple things at a very high level and just cause chaos. It doesn't need to be pretty, it doesn't need to be nice. It just needs to be efficient.
Pelais almost pulled it through. Sure wins it back just for a moment from Masoso. 13 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. They must score twice. Tie not good enough for Oakland. Tie is good enough for El Paso.
But give credit to El Paso so far. 78 minutes, box defending has been top class. Winning every single individual duel. Danny Diaz has been terrific, so if you're Brian Clairhout,
on the turn, Pelais.
Probably hasn't been the best performance in terms of your football in the attacking phase of the game by the stretch. No stretch of the mind whatsoever, but defensively, you have to be extremely pleased.
Like the long from Saldana, looking for Pelais. Masoso couldn't find it. Calvillo did. Won that 2021 championship with Orange County. Brings some championship pedigree into the midfield. For El Paso, it's why back in July, they signed him to an extension through 2025. Same day that they signed Liam Rose, locking down that midfield for years to come. Both of those guys have been immense tonight as well. And a free kick on the way for Oakland.
The Lions just picked up a yellow card about 2 or 3 minutes ago for the challenge on Paul Blanchette. And to be honest, it's a mistime challenge here. This is far worse than what he does to Paul Blanchette.
Oakland must win. So they must score at least twice, as long as they hold El Paso to no more. Driven in, Diaz had a beat on it and brings it in. Don't forget his penalty save. 5 minutes to go before the half on Johnny Rodriguez. Yes, Oakland got the fast start to half number 2 anyway. And of course, it's a ripple effect. Maybe if they scored that goal and it was 2-1 at half, maybe they don't bring Pelais on right away. So there's a whole ripple effect, but the whole game felt like it turned in that moment where Oakland had the momentum going into halftime. Air came out of the building when Diaz made the save. Right now, here's what it would look like. RGV, Oakland, just on the outside. New Mexico, El Paso on the good side of that imaginary line between 8 and 9. RGV already eliminated. New Mexico already through. El Paso and Oakland battling for that final spot. 1 goal here from Oakland. All it would do is change the calculus such that New Mexico goes back to 7th. El Paso goes down to 8th, but it wouldn't change who gets that final playoff spot. Oakland must win to knock El Paso out and put themselves in. Had a lot of stoppages in this second half, so I think we'll see at least 5 of stoppage time so far. We'll give Oakland a quarter of an hour to save its season. Hoping to accomplish what El Paso did. Make the playoffs each of their first 3 years in the league. Before they didn't make it last year, Locomotive. They get right back into it this year. Oakland in danger of missing the playoffs for the first time here in USL Championship. Over 6,100 announced in-house here at Pioneer Stadium by 300 fans. A record for the Oakland Roots. But on a record night, the over 6,100 in attendance might not be going home so happy. El Paso has anything to say about it. Zacharias, a yellow card for time wasting.
Yellow card blue.
Diaz. Don't really have any buttons left to push if you're Oakland. You've brought on the players who you'd think can get it done for you in Reed, Pelais, who has the goal, Paso and Saldana. A free kick coming again for Oakland. Those who committed the foul. He's one of the few not on a yellow. Lyons, Herrera, Calvillo, Zacharias, McHugh, those 5 all with yellows. And now for El Paso.
Last couple services from Memo Diaz have been targeted to that back post. The intended targets are Danny Barrier, Morad, and Clementa.
Sent up toward that back post. Barbier couldn't get a head on it. Tried to angle himself backward. Just missed it. His last off of Gomez. Clementa. Looking through. Clementa couldn't get there.
But it's the wrong decision, Joe. Once again, Tarek Murad, you have to understand where you are on the field. There's no real estate to play in beyond this back line of El Paso, and that will be his last action as we see Cruz come in. But understanding moments, understanding where you are in terms of your location on the field. You can't play in behind if this back line is about 6 yards off of their goal line. Play in front of them, then you draw them out, and that's when you can play and beat them through combination play. But as of late, the last 5 to 10 minutes, the Oakland Roots have not found Cedeno in those half pockets. Reed, has not gotten involved as much as you would like, and Johnny Rodriguez extremely quiet in the second half.
Well, with some injuries, with some players on international duty, where do you turn if you're Noah Delgado? Murad comes off, Edgar Cruz comes on. Project 510 product in their academy pipeline. He's played 14 minutes in his lone appearance in 2023. Now trusted with the most important 10 minutes remaining in the factor in stoppage time of Oakland season. Barbier sends it long. And it's out for a throw, wrong side of the flag. Last 8 games for Oakland, 6 losses, 2 draws. Could finish winless in their last 9 with 7 being losses. They have dropped 22 points from a winning position here in 2023. All they would have needed was 3 of those. And that would have been enough to have gotten them in. Not saying, hey, could you have turned those 22 into 10 points, into 15 points? All you got to do is look back at your calendar and find 3 that you could have or should have had. A few easy spots to look at as well in games 8. Didn't see out. Take a look at some late stoppage time goals they allowed. 90+6, I believe it was. A tie became a loss at Louisville. 90+5, a win became a tie. Home against San Antonio. There's your 3 that you needed right there. Don't have to look any further than that. And those were both part of this winless run they've had down the stretch. Gomez. Seal the deal, not on the same page as Zacharias. Similar finish for El Paso, where They only have one win in their final 5. Their team will probably should have had smoother sailing coming into tonight. But for now, they're getting the job done. Despite some of their recent struggles and ups and downs, they'll still be living to fight another day. And not over yet. Cedeno lofts it ahead toward Pelais. Cruz on the volley. Kind of ricocheted back off of him. No, it'll be a corner. El Paso seemed to think it would be a goal kick. In-swinger from Cedeno. Loose in the middle. Saldana tried to go for goal. And he's called for the foul on his follow-through. Dollenmeyer.
I do think on this first action, if you're Cruz, you need to head this back across where it came from. As you look to go with your foot, you don't get clean contact, and that's the result. Saldana, clean foul, catches none of the ball, and Olive Dollenmeyer, who, by the way, has been really good. McHugh, Dollenmeyer, Navarro started as a back 3 for Brian Clairhout. Not put a foot wrong, especially in the second 45 minutes.
El Paso would love the exclamation point. Breathe a bit easier these final few minutes. Calvillo plays it through, and Era, he wanted that moment. USL Championship playoffs are here. Catch all the action on ESPN Plus beginning next weekend. Select matches on SiriusXM FC as well, all culminating in the final on November 12th, 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Only one of these two teams could possibly be in that final because one of these two teams will be on the outside looking in just a few minutes from now. Winner or draw, good for El Paso. Oakland must win, have to dig deep now. El Paso's done a terrific job of stabilizing this game after Oakland scored its goal. Maybe a couple of moments in there where they could have found a quick second, but they didn't. El Paso dropped in deeper, sunk their teeth into this one, and taken complete control. I should say that Oakland has had the ball, but control in terms of the territories, not allowing Oakland in deep, in behind. Really haven't had a good look since, I can't remember when, maybe that Babacar Jai bicycle that ended up just over the crossbar. That was the last time they really had a good clean look, Oakland, and that was maybe a half hour ago.
You also see the way that they're building out. There's no connective person from that back line to the front line. Everyone's just standing on the front line. And you know better than me, Joe. If you're a defensive unit and everything's in front of you, it makes life very easy. You just step up, you move left, you move right, and you congest the field towards one side of the field. So you're looking at Cedeno, you're looking at whether it is Cruz, just to draw out a center back. It's about 15, 20 yards. And balls like this just play into the favor of Benny Diaz because he has the ability to read the flight, take the contact, and just rise above everyone. And to be a bit smarter in your approach here for the Oakland Roots.
How sweet it would feel for Diaz. He was on loan to Oakland to begin last year. Now this year on loan to El Paso. Parent club Tijuana. Only 4 minutes tacked on at the end of this. Oakland has to score twice. Cedeno curls it in. Pelais there. Back post was Barbier. In front, Barbier. Now Rodriguez. Cruz. Knotted down by Dollenmeyer. Oakland shouting for a penalty. That wasn't awarded. Gomez does the wise thing and slows it down. So Diaz looking long. Spin forward for Oakland in the second half. Everything direct. Has to be now. Diaz. Pushed along for Calvillo, left for Gomez. It's a 3v1, make it a 4v1 as Zacharias joins. Herrera with it. Zacharias with him, taken down from behind. A yellow card for Memo Diaz, who already has one. So his season is over, it appears. Abduendia just looking at the book now, remembering Memo already has one. He knew he was making the walk over. It's a 3-on-1 and maybe a goal. If he didn't do it, had to take the risk. And he's off.
And it's a risky run for the Oakland Roots. Overcommitting, you leave yourself extremely vulnerable in transition moments. Professional foul here from Memo Diaz. None of the ball, all of Herrera. And like you said, Joe, to give any sort of chance for the Roots to have a comeback here, you have to make that challenge. Because more times than not, that ball ends up in the back of the net. Really shower from Memo Diaz. It goes from bad to worse for the Oakland Roots.
Calvillo wearing the captain's armband. The key cog in this midfield for El Paso. It's an easy decision what to do here. Probably not taking this one to the corner. Go for goal. See if you can ice it. Nobody else really joining him. Look at that, only black jerseys in the box. Can Calvillo just end it here? They're in good shape anyway. Calvillo, saved by Blanchette. Out for a corner, a chance to take some more time off. Cedeno wants to hurry them along, but it might be too little too late. They would need to score twice. El Paso players up on the bench starting to sense it, starting to taste it, knowing the job might be done. But it won't really hit them until that final whistle does sound. Eighth seed in the East is decided. Miami lost. Detroit City is in. And we're about to decide the 8th seed in the West as well. Pardon me, the 8th spot. El Paso would be the 7th seed. Driven long. Handed away. All but over now. Oakland again would have to score twice to get through. 4 minutes have come and gone. Diaz has it. Crowd was hoping to celebrate tonight. It'll be El Paso celebrating instead. There's your final whistle. After missing out in 2022, El Paso is back in the playoffs.
Really well done here from Brian Clarehout. Game plan executed to perfection. You come into this hostile environment, 6,000 plus, and how do you take the sting and play this game on your terms? You scored 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, and you lock down defensively. Streaky, yes. Performances up and down. Take nothing away from grinding out results and having a way to find out wins and take back a massive 3 points to secure yourself in the 2023 USL Championship playoffs.
2022, only 7 teams in the West made the postseason. Oakland was in as number 7. It was El Paso on the wrong side of that line. Different story here in 2023. El Paso is in. They'll get the 7th seed. They're your 8th team in the postseason. They left it late, But on the goal by Dullenmeyer in the 14th minute, that proves to be the winner. El Paso is into the playoffs. We wrap it up from Pioneer Stadium when we return.
Little things can make a big difference. To have families access much needed resources, Anthem Blue Cross and Oakland Roots teamed up to deliver 2,300 diapers to the East Oakland Collective. By supporting parents and babies, we can improve the health of our communities. Here's to a brighter future and many more random acts of kindness. Learn more at oaklandrootsatsea.com/anthem.
No puede pegar al arco. La gana Mazzoso, dejando para Enfeca. ¡Gol se metió! ¡Balón adentro, golazo!
It is going to be a fun trip back to Texas for this El Paso side. They're into the playoffs. Made it each of their first 3 years as a club in USL. Missed last year, but they are back. 2-1 win over Oakland. Here's a look at the full-time highlights.
It starts off extremely quick for the visitors here. You turn the ball over center channel, but look, the first look is always forward. Ascalvio picks up his head. He already glances, so he knows what's in front of him. You play into the path of Sunupe, offside or not, play to the final whistle. Really good finish, right through the legs of Paul Blanchette. But if you're Emma Clemente and Tarek Murad, the rotation has been lacking the last half of the season. You see Murad going over to the line of referee, thinks it offside. In our viewpoint, it did look like he was offside, but no offside here from whatsoever. Petrovic, brilliant ball into a lot of pace, a lot of power. Dullenmeyer, the big man, just rises up above everyone. Takes no prisoners, snap header, close range, no chance for Paul Blanchette. As Cedeno, twisting and turning, knows exactly what he wants to do with Dullenmeyer. Spins him like a top. It's a trailing leg from Dullenmeyer, trying to get himself back into position. Cedeno goes down. You thought Johnny Rodriguez, surely 12 goals on the year, is going to find the back of the net. Closed up his zips at the last second. Benny Diaz reads it the whole way. Massive save. You see what it means for the goalkeeper for El Paso.
Did it against his former team, and you thought maybe that would take the life out of this game. Well, Anwar Pelaya's other ideas in the 47th minute.
And you really thought when this acrobatic goal finds the back of the net, it's something special. But it really kick-started the energy and the quality for the Oakland Roots to go out and get a second. But if that's not up for goal of the year, I don't know what is. The ball falls kindly to him, the acrobatics, the technical ability, the body control to pull it off. Last game of the season, top class for Anwar Pelaya. But again, you talk about managing moments. How can you get that second goal? You got glimpses of it for the Oakland Roots, but didn't have the final execution, that last bit of quality to find the back of the net once again.
Well, Reed, in front of me, Jai tried his own bicycle after Pelaya. Didn't quite work out the same way. And then from there, El Paso just locked things down.
You talk about game managing, you talk about understanding the moment and understanding the situation. 1 point secures yourself into the playoffs in El Paso in the second half. They slowed things down. They made it dirty. They made a different, very difficult time for the Oakland Roots to get any sort of rhythm. Memo Diaz, last defending challenge, get the second yellow. That's a red card off to the corner, and El Paso take all 3 points and can get themselves into the playoffs.
Well, you have to be fair. For an Oakland team that only picked up 2 points in its final 9 matches, probably didn't deserve to be above that playoff line in the end. One last look at the scoreboard from around the league in the late window. There you go, Sacramento beat Miami. So what that does is it takes them back above Tampa Bay, meaning the only team Sacramento would visit in a potential final would be Pittsburgh, and Miami wrong side of the line. Detroit City takes their spot. But this last one here, Ricky, San Diego with a win, they would be in third. Orange County in second, San Antonio dropping to fourth. So still not done yet in terms of the seeding in the West. Take a look at the bracket right now. As it would stand, San Diego Phoenix is juicy.
That's going to be a really interesting one, but you go across the board as well. Talk about direct play, talk about athleticism. San Antonio hosting the Switchbacks, but I do think you look at the game of the round, if this was going to be the bracket, at the top left, right? New Mexico, like you said, Joe, hottest team as of late in USL Championship against the #1 seed, and Mark Briggs at home We know how good Sacramento Republic is at home.
And remember, you can flip over and catch the last 20 minutes of San Diego Vegas to make sure that this bracket, as you see it, is how it would end. A Vegas goal would just drop San Diego to 4th and move San Antonio up to 3rd. East is done. These are the matchups that we'll see next week. Which one's the one that catches your eye?
I think the one that catches my eye, like I mentioned at halftime, I think Indy 11 is going to be a dark horse. But the most competitive match is going to be Lou City and Memphis, right? The history between those two clubs and a game that we just saw. When you flip the venue now, Pittsburgh hosting Detroit, Tampa Bay Rowdies, and the Legion. That one's a really interesting one as well.
Well, it all kicks off next week. The final on November 12th on ESPN2. And that'll do it for us tonight. The over 6,100 in attendance, a record crowd for Oakland. We're hoping to celebrate, but it was El Paso emphatically celebrating a return to the postseason after missing out in 2022. Flip over, catch the end of San Diego, Las Vegas, the final minutes of the 2023 USL Championship season. And for our broadcast partner, Ricky Lopez-Espin, and the crew that makes this possible, I'm Joe Malfa saying good night from Hayward, California, where El Paso makes it in to the postseason. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.